Have you ever looked back on a decision you made and thought, why did I do that? Here's a better question. Have you looked back on something, some event or opportunity and thought, dang, why didn't I do that? Don't be so hard on yourself. We've all done it, not to worry. I'm going to help you overcome those regrets and turn your life into the one you really want. Do you know what you really want? That's half the battle. The other half, the one we're going to discuss, is that you've got to ask for what you want. Plain and simple. And if you don't, you'll never know what would or could have been. In my own life, I've come to understand that it's really the things that I didn't do that I look back on, not the things I did. Because not doing something I wanted to, or afraid to ask for something, left me wondering what would have been. And that's what we're talking about here, helping you overcome the ask. You have to want something more than you're afraid of it. So let's find out why you're holding back when either being confronted with a decision to make or being in the presence of having an opportunity for something, and why you chose not to ask for it, participate in it, or take part in it, despite actually wanting to. I'm going to break it down for you. And while you're thinking about it, think about hitting the like button or subscribe to let me know you're listening and want more. It would mean the world to me. So, there are a few main reasons why you either turned something down or didn't ask for it. Let's start with the biggest of them, low self-esteem. You don't deserve it. Your mind has been bombarded with negative messages from your tribe and your upbringing, and now you've come to believe that you don't deserve good things in your life. You may even believe that you don't deserve love. When it comes to low self-esteem, there's really no limit on how low you may think of yourself. Your mind and thoughts have been conditioned to believe in conditions. What do I mean by that? You've probably heard of the term unconditional love. Well, unfortunately, the opposite exists too. Conditional love is where you've been brought up in an environment where the only way you receive love and attention is through quid pro quo. You do this for me, and I'll do this for you. You do this for me, and I'll love you. You don't do this, and I don't love you. Do you understand what I mean by conditional now? It's a reward and punishment system. If this sounds like you are probably now struggling with asking for things that you want. Listen, everyone processes things differently, and if you happen to be raised in an environment where your parents or guardians simply said to you, do this or do that, and when you asked why, they replied, because I'm your father and I'm telling you, or because I'm your mother and I'm telling you, I can tell you that you are more than likely relating to my words right now. Have you ever witnessed in person or even watched a short video clip of a kid accidentally breaking something? Look closely at their face. What did you see? The kid already instinctively knows that they messed up. Unless in a rare case you're dealing with a young psychopath, their own reaction says it all. Anywhere from embarrassment to shame to instant fear or sadness, it's written on their face. I'm not talking about infants and toddlers here. I am describing a child who can walk unassisted and use words to speak and to listen to. It's already traumatizing for that kid to have messed up. They know that. So why would you attack them or berate them with angry and hurtful words and/or physical punishment? At this point, I'm being rhetorical. Spanking them, hitting them, yelling at them, calling them names, telling them that they're stupid or clumsy or deserved it without any interest in their safety creates bad self-esteem. Its lasting effects sound like this when the kid grows up. Oh, I don't buy expensive things. I'm not good at sports. I've always been clumsy. Oh, I'm no good at that. I'm such an idiot. God, I'm so bad at this. Every one of those personal statements is rooted in and can be traced back to childhood trauma. More specifically, those statements can probably be tracked back to breaking something or dropping something in front of someone older in the tribe and being chastised, scolded, or made fun of for it. And right now, you're either shaking your head in disgust, nodding your head in agreement, or perhaps you feel like you can't relate. I understand what you're illustrating, you're saying, but how can everyone be traumatized from something as simple as dropping or breaking something in front of an angry adult? To answer your question, I'm not saying that everyone experienced this, nor did everyone turn out scarred from certain childhood events. This is the beauty and wonder of life itself. Some people are wired differently and process their environment and experiences in different ways that don't end up as adult baggage that they carry around. Some people find resiliency and fortitude in adversity early on and sometimes just aren't affected in the same way by the same circumstances. So what's my point here? Remember, we're talking about why you turn things down or why you're afraid to ask for something you want. You're not a little kid anymore, and you've had at least one memorable experience where you've looked back on something and thought, why didn't I ask for that? Or, why didn't I do that? When you actually did want it. And what we've uncovered here is the fact that you may be carrying around baggage from your childhood which is now preventing you from fully realizing or living your life on your terms with freedom of thought and peace of mind. Your belief system is trapping your thoughts and rendering you with low self-esteem. You've now come to believe that you shouldn't ask for something or can't ask for something because you don't deserve it. So how do you change your thinking? Well, you may have already taken the first step, and that is to uncover the why of your behavior. Most or the majority of your behavior is already written into a pattern that you've been following. So what you think is free will may actually be, and probably is, simply the pattern of thoughts which arise every time you do something simple, like in the example of negative self-talk we just mentioned. I'm no good at sports. Are you really no good at throwing or catching a ball or jumping or skipping or any other activity you've avoided? Or have you never really tried after being barked at by an adult when you were a kid or made fun of by others and left with a lasting emotional scar? Really think about that. Are you actually clumsy? Or are you simply nervous and afraid to go near or handle certain objects for a deep-rooted fear of being yelled at? So, here's the deal. You get in life what you have the courage to ask for. So when you're afraid of asking for something, it probably comes down to your fears and doubts about being rejected. We all have stories we've told someone about the time we felt dejected when rejected and granted. It hurts. It does. You've got to keep in mind that everyone's ego, the part of you that wants to protect your identity, wants to be in charge. And part of being in charge is being on top, being the one who gets to decide when and how you're going to live your life in the way that best supports your ego or protects it. When you ask for something, you're temporarily suspending who is in charge and allowing someone else's ego to make the decision of whether or not you will get the thing you're asking for. Doesn't matter if you're asking for an extra piece of pie, an extension on a paper you're writing, or a promotion at work. Anything at all. You are relinquishing control, and that can be a scary feeling unless you start to take charge of your thoughts and thinking and let your higher self ask instead of your ego. What do I mean by that? It all boils down to this simple bit of secret wisdom that countless successful people have used in order to get what they want, and why these people don't have a problem with asking for things. Here it is. Here is the secret. People who have mastered their ego know that whatever they do in life, whether attempting something new or making a change, big or small, or asking for something that they want, understand that they will be okay. It's that simple. I'll say it again. Those who succeed in life understand that whatever comes at them will not stop them from living their life. That is using your higher self and not your ego. That's realizing that you absolutely have complete control over your own thoughts and feelings, which means that when asking for something or temporarily relinquishing control, you know, your higher self knows, that you will be okay whatever the outcome. Successful people are armed with their higher faculties which they use to get what they ask for. Even if they are rejected the first time, there is always another path. But how can I get to that point, you're asking? How can I get that sense of control and freedom from my ego? How do I know that I'll really be okay? I'll answer you with a simple picture I'm going to paint. Imagine that you are all alone, walking through a peaceful countryside along an open dirt road, and you come upon a wall which now blocks your path. You look to both sides, and it seems that this wall stretches on for untold miles. You cannot see the ends of it, and for all you know, it's hundreds of miles long. There is no sign warning you that you cannot be on the other side of the wall, and in fact, you've walked this road 100 times and have never seen it before. It's as if it magically appeared. The more you think about it, the more you realize that you actually need to get to the other side of this wall because what you call home is just on the other side of it. No one can see you or hear you, and nobody knows that you're there. What are your options? If you're anxious, you might analyze it for hours and cry and worry about why it's there and why this is happening to you. After all, it wasn't there before. If you're depressed, you might also have a million questions about what you did to deserve this and then curl into a ball and cry yourself to sleep while using the wall to lean on. So is this where your story ends? All of the plans you had and things you wanted to do and see and people you wanted to be with, this is it? You give up? You've been defeated by this strange new wall and have decided to tap out, call it quits, and lay down and die? Life is just so unfair, isn't it? Or do you use your higher self to figure out how to get home? I had a real life experience like this when I was much younger and talked about it in my video about getting my degree. You can check that out if you haven't already. So, what are the attributes of your higher self? It's your perception, your will, your reason, your intuition, your memory, and your imagination. You can use all of these higher faculties and more to get what you want. You can. Let's do it. Now, what are your options? You can walk to one end and see if you actually could go around. You can find or make something to dig with and go under it. You can find something to use to climb over it. You can see if there is a crack somewhere that you could hit with something else and break through. There are even more ways than that. The exciting point that I'm making here is that if you really want to go home, then this wall just represents another obstacle in your way. Instead of falling prey to your fragile ego, who questions why this is happening to you, or listening to your anxiety and or depression that's telling you you can't go on, you can use your higher faculties which make up your higher self. Take charge of your thoughts and ask for what you want. You can use your perception to say to yourself, the wall may be high and wide, but that's only from this vantage point. I can change my perspective and look at it from different angles and see that it's just a wall, nothing more. It's not impossible to overcome it. You can use your will to simply deny your anxiety and depression any hold they may have on you and will yourself to not give up and to keep going. You can use your reason and intuition and think about the fact that this obstacle is temporary and this has happened to you many times before in different forms and it didn't stop you then. Why would it stop you now? You can use your memory and imagination and think about how you've seen or heard about how other people get over or under or through this obstacle and come up with a creative approach or strategy for a solution to this problem. But there is something even more powerful that you need to know, and it's this. Once you change your beliefs and fully recognize how truly awesome your higher faculties really are, once you know that you can rely on your higher self to get you through life's difficulties, you will then see the truth, that there is no wall, and there never was. The wall was always just your own fears and doubts projected by your negative thoughts. Learn to master your higher self. Practice using your higher faculties often, and you'll find that by controlling your thoughts, you will control your feelings. Defeat your negative thoughts and replace them with positive experience. Start asking for what you want and realize that you do deserve good things in your life. Realize that if you don't get what you ask for right away, you'll be okay. If it's really worth it to you, you'll figure out another way to ask. And finally, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, keep going. I believe in you.